Not on the surface, we've mapped that. Not in the shallow depths where submarines venture. I'm talking about nearly 1,000 miles down, where no human has ever been, where the pressure would crush you instantly, and where we thought we understood what was there. We were wrong. Using one of the most powerful supercomputers on Earth, scientists have discovered something that shouldn't exist. A structure. Massive. Hidden. Moving. And definitely not where any geological model predicted it should be. This isn't some minor geological quirk. This thing is the size of a continent, buried deeper than we've ever looked before. And it's been there, well, possibly since before complex life even existed on our planet. So how do you find something 1,000 miles underground? How do you prove it exists when you can't see it, touch it, or drill anywhere close to it? And more importantly, what the hell is it? Let's dive in. Here's the thing about our planet. We know almost nothing about what's actually inside it. I mean, think about this for a second. The deepest humans have ever drilled is just over 7.6 miles. That's the Kola super deep borehole in Russia, and even that project had to be abandoned because the temperatures got so extreme that the drill bits kept melting. But Earth's mantle, the layer we're talking about today, starts about 22 miles below the surface and stretches down almost 1,800 miles. So everything we know about the deep interior of our planet, we've learned without actually seeing it. That's where earthquakes become our eyes. Every time the ground shakes somewhere in the world, it sends ripples through Earth's interior. These aren't just random vibrations, they're incredibly precise signals that behave differently depending on what they're traveling through. Scientists call them P waves and S waves, and they're like nature's own ultrasound system for the planet. P waves, or primary waves, travel fastest and can move through solids, liquids, and gases. S waves, or secondary waves, only travel through solid material. When seismologists measure how long these waves take to reach different locations around the globe, they can essentially create a 3D map of what's inside Earth without ever touching it.
This technique is called seismic tomography, and for decades it's been our window into the deep Earth. Scientists have used it to identify cold, dense slabs of ocean floor that have sunk into the mantle, massive chambers of molten rock beneath volcanoes, and even continent-sized blobs at the boundary between the mantle and Earth's core. But here's the problem. Traditional tomography only uses partial data. It's like trying to understand a complex painting by looking at just the brushstrokes. You get the general idea, but you miss the details. The real breakthrough came when researchers started using something called full waveform inversion. Instead of just measuring when waves arrive at different locations, this method analyzes the entire wave, its shape, amplitude, frequency, everything. It captures the complete physics of how seismic energy moves through Earth. But there's a catch. Full waveform inversion is computationally insane. The calculations required would take a standard computer hundreds of years to complete.
Enter P-DAINT, one of the world's fastest supercomputers, located at the Swiss National Supercomputing Center. This machine is so powerful, it can run global-scale simulations that model every earthquake, every wave, every tiny variation in Earth's interior structure with unprecedented precision. A team led by Thomas Schouten, a doctoral student at ETH Zurich, partnered with researchers from Caltech to feed P-DAINT data from 430 earthquakes recorded between 1990 and 2022. These weren't just any earthquakes. They were selected because they sent clear, strong signals across the entire planet that were recorded by seismometers in hundreds of locations. The process was incredibly complex. The scientists had to divide Earth into tens of millions of tiny cubes, then simulate how seismic waves would travel through a theoretical planet, and compare those results to what actually happened during real earthquakes. Any mismatch meant their model was wrong, so they'd adjust it and run the simulation again. And again. And again. Each cycle took massive computing time, but slowly, something extraordinary began to emerge from the data.
At first, the team thought they were seeing computational errors. The wave patterns they were detecting didn't match anything in the geological textbooks. There were areas where seismic waves were behaving in ways that made no sense according to our understanding of Earth's interior. But the anomalies kept appearing. No matter how they adjusted their models, no matter which earthquakes they analyzed, the same impossible signals kept showing up. The most dramatic one was beneath the Pacific Ocean. Picture this, nearly 1,000 miles below the surface, stretching for hundreds of miles in every direction, there was something dense enough and solid enough to consistently alter seismic waves as they passed through. This wasn't some thin layer or minor variation in rock composition. This was a massive, coherent structure that had somehow escaped detection until now. But here's what made it truly impossible. It was nowhere near any known geological activity. See, when scientists find these kinds of deep Earth structures, there's usually an obvious explanation. If you detect something cold and dense in the mantle, it's probably a piece of ocean floor that sank down millions of years ago through a process called subduction. If you find something hot and less dense, it's likely part of a volcanic plume rising up from deep in the Earth. These structures form predictable patterns. They form near plate boundaries, places where the Earth's surface is actively moving, colliding, or spreading apart. But this structure under the Pacific, it was sitting in the middle of nowhere. No active volcanoes above it, no earthquake activity, no plate boundaries for thousands of miles in any direction. According to everything we thought we knew about how Earth works, it simply shouldn't exist. When the team finally published their findings, the scientific community was stunned. Andreas Fichtner, one of the project leads, compared it to discovering a sunken continent, not literally, but in terms of scale and significance. This thing is enormous. We're talking about a structure that's hundreds of miles across and potentially thousands of miles long. It's sitting horizontally in the mantle, which is weird because most deep Earth structures are vertical. They're either sinking down or rising up due to the planet's internal circulation. But this formation appears to just be sitting there, stable, possibly for millions or even billions of years. So what could it be? The honest answer is that nobody knows for sure, but the theories are fascinating. One possibility is that this is a fragment of ancient continental crust, a piece of Earth's surface from billions of years ago that somehow got buried in the deep mantle and has been preserved ever since. If that's true, it would be one of the oldest surviving pieces of our planet's history, a geological time capsule from when Earth was a completely different world. Another theory suggests it might be made of iron-rich rock that accumulated over geological time through the planet's internal circulation. Iron is much denser than typical mantle material, which would explain why seismic waves behave so differently as they pass through it.
There's even speculation that it could be the remnant of a collapsed mantle plume, essentially a failed volcano that never made it to the surface, but left behind this massive geological scar in the deep earth. But here's what's really mind-blowing about this discovery. It's probably not alone. The same team has found similar anomalies beneath other parts of the world, under Central Asia, beneath the Atlantic, scattered under old continental masses. Each one challenges our basic assumptions about how Earth's interior works. Think about what this means. For decades, we've operated under the assumption that the deep mantle is relatively uniform, disturbed only by the predictable processes of plate tectonics. But if massive, stable structures can exist deep underground without any connection to surface geology, then our entire model of how planets evolve might be incomplete.
It's humbling, really. We live on this planet every day. We've mapped its surface, explored its oceans, sent probes to its highest altitudes. We've built cities and civilizations, created art and literature, launched ourselves into space to look back at our blue marble floating in the void. And yet, beneath our feet, there are continental-sized mysteries that we're only just beginning to discover. The discovery is forcing geologists to rewrite fundamental assumptions about planetary formation and evolution. If Earth can hide structures this massive in its deep interior, what else might be down there? Research institutions across Europe, North America, and Asia are now reanalyzing decades of seismic data with these new computational techniques. Early results suggest that several anomalies, previously dismissed as modeling errors, might actually be real geological features. We're potentially looking at a new era of Earth exploration, one where supercomputers and sophisticated algorithms reveal hidden worlds beneath our feet that are as alien and mysterious as anything we might find on distant planets.
The team is continuing their work, running even more detailed simulations that don't just look at wave speed, but also examine other properties like how the waves lose energy as they travel and how they change direction. These additional measurements could help determine not just that these structures exist, but what they're actually made of. But as incredible as this discovery is, it also raises some profound questions about knowledge itself. We've spent centuries believing we understood our own planet, building models and theories that seem to explain everything we could observe. Yet here we are, discovering that continental-sized secrets have been hiding beneath our feet all along, invisible to every method we had for looking, until we developed the right combination of technology and curiosity. It makes you wonder, if Earth can conceal mysteries this vast and fundamental in its own depths, what other assumptions about our reality might be waiting for the right question, the right tool, or the right perspective to reveal their hidden truth? Perhaps the most profound discoveries aren't waiting for us in distant galaxies or alien worlds, but in the familiar ground beneath our feet, reminding us that even home can be the most mysterious place of all. What do you think this structure could be? An ancient piece of our planet's earliest crust? Some kind of iron-rich geological formation? Or something else entirely that we haven't even thought of yet? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if you're fascinated by the hidden mysteries of our own planet, make sure to subscribe, because trust me, this is just the beginning of what we're going to discover as our technology gets better and our curiosity takes us deeper into the unknown. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.